Alrighty, let's just get right into stuff today. If I'm a little quiet, let me know. How's it going, everyone? What's up, Donald Hickson, Raymond Legend, Super Mario, Feral Xavier, Terry Zero, Illuma Donkey Kong, Eric Wolf. How you guys doing? I don't think we have anyone to shout over on Twitch right now, but if we did and you happen to be watching on Twitch, thank you so much for tuning in. It says we have one person, although it's not listed on the stream, so who knows, whatever. As for what music that is, it was from a Nintendo game. That's all I can tell you. It was good. Yeah, it was. All right. So, little discussion I want to have. Just a quick stream, maybe 30 minutes. My kids are here. I'm watching them. They're playing with toys and blah, blah, blah right now. But I wanted to have a little quick stream just because my recent video, obviously, is what it is, and I feel pretty strongly about it. It's something I have repeated ad nauseum for a while, but I've just never made a dedicated video about it. So I just wanted to respond to some of the stuff in it and maybe just have an open conversation with you guys on it. Because I was literally just told to quit gaming. I know. I mean, people over-exaggerate and make bigger deals of things than it really needs to be. But you know what? I figured it would be fun to respond to some of this stuff on a live stream and just, do my thing here. So I'm going to see if I can make this bigger for you guys to make it more readable. We'll full screen it. I think this should be good here. Let's full screen it. All right, that should be good. So, all right. So let's just get right into this. So today I put out this video. Should Nintendo stop their quality of life paid DLC practices? And it focused on two games: Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, I'm going to set Xenoblade Chronicles 2 aside just because I just don't know enough about the game, right? Like, I know difficulty settings and other things were put behind their expansion pass that led all to the Torna DLC. So I know that that happened, but that's about it. I can't dive into specifics on that game because I just don't have enough experience with it. I didn't buy the expansion pass. I don't really know what's all there. I just know what I have seen in other people's live streams and other people's videos and what it says on Nintendo's website. So I'm gonna kind of focus away from that and focus more on the Breath of the Wild side of things that I brought up. Because Breath of the Wild did a lot of things awesome. It's my favorite game of all time. Also did a lot of things I don't like, mostly in regards to the DLC. Breath of the Wild's DLC came in two waves, right? You had two DLC packs. There's DLC Pack 1, DLC Pack 2. DLC Pack 2 is the one that had like the new shrines and the new story and the new end boss and blah, 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 right? Fine. Cool. No problem with that part of the DLC for the most part. The first pack of the DLC was a little more interesting because the big thing it touted was Master Mode, right? You get Master Mode. The thing about Master Mode is that it's just hero mode from Skyward Sword. A mode that we got included with the last console game. But now we have to pay for it. In Ocarina of Time, I could play my little ditty and call Epona pretty much anywhere in the game. In Breath of the Wild, you have to complete a quest to do that, which is fine. But that quest is only available if you buy the DLC. So the ability to summon your horse anywhere you want requires you to spend money, when it used to just be a core feature of Zelda games. It's been a core feature of every single Zelda game that had a horse in it. So so they basically cut out a core feature, two core features really. They cut out what used to be the hard mode, the heroes mode, whatever. They cut out the ability to call your horse everywhere, and they said, hey, look, now you got to pay us to do that. In addition, we pay to get that tracking data on the map, right? The hero's path, where it draws everything. It doesn't really serve a purpose other than telling you where you've been. Well, that data is being tracked whether you have the DLC or not. That data has been tracked the entire time Breath of the Wild's been out. You know what they call that when you have to pay to access data that's already being there and it's already tracked and already in the game? They call that on-disc DLC. On-disc DLC. What does this mean? It means there's a feature in the game that was there from day one that they are charging you to access. Now, none of these things are sold individually, of course. That would be where we get into microtransaction territory, and for some people, that would be worse. But just because all of this is bundled in with that second DLC pack and the story DLC doesn't mean I think Nintendo should be doing it. It is basically cutting things from Zelda and being like, hey, if you like those features, you better give us money. And you can, I don't like it. I like the Octo expansion. I don't mind the Torna DLC on its own. The Torna DLC on its own is fine. I don't mind the Octo expansion. I don't mind things like what they did with Mario Kart 8 back on the Wii U. There's a lot of DLC practices Nintendo does that are great. I mean, heck, in Mario Odyssey, they haven't even charged anything, and they added a whole new mode in the hide the balloon thing with Luigi. And then, obviously, they've added some costumes, and they could have microtransactioned and heck, loot box the hell out of those costumes, and they didn't do that, so good on Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't have these bad practices across the board, but it happened in Xenoblade, and it happened in Zelda. And my thing is, I'm worried that those DLCs were so successful, they sold so well, that we're going to get more of it, and more of it, and more of it. Just cutting things that used to be standard in a game and giving it to you separate. You know what companies do that, right? EA, Ubisoft, and Activision. Cutting things from the game to force you to buy it. Or to convince you to buy it. And the thing is, they get away with it because what they'll do is they take these things and they'll be like, oh, I don't really want to get that, but I do want to get the story DLC. But I have to buy everything to get the story DLC. So they're making it feel like you're getting more for your money, right? Look at all these extra features that are being added to Breath of the Wild or added to Xenoblade when you buy the expansion pass, or when you buy the expansion pass for Breath of the Wild. Like, look at all the features you're getting. When half of those features are things that used to just be part of the game. Difficulty sliders in Xenoblade? Really? Difficulty sliders in the game. A quality of life improvement is behind a paywall? And not just any old paywall, a massive paywall, because you can't just get the difficulty sliders, you have to get everything. I don't see how this is an improvement. I don't see how this is something we should cheer Nintendo for doing. So, first, I'll read some of what you guys have to say, and then I'll get into the comments I wanted to respond to on the post. You guys said DLC over loot boxes and micros. Yeah, when it's real DLC. Real DLC. You know what they did with Splatoon 2? Free updates, which we'll get into that in a different day, about the free updates and incomplete games or whatever. We'll get into that another time. But when they charged you money, you know what they charged you for? Content. Not a quality of life improvement. Not a hard mode. They charged you for content. How hard is it to have DLC be content, not quality of life improvements that should just be there? This is akin. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example from Assassin's Creed. The latest Assassin's Creed game charged people for an XP boost. This would be akin to having that XP boost be behind a $20 piece of DLC. Yeah, sure, there's a whole bunch of other things packed in. But if you want that XP boost, you have to buy that DLC. That XP boost is basically a difficulty slider. It's easy mode, right? It makes the game easier. It's an easy setting, an easy difficulty. But if you want that, you got to pay for it. That's essentially what Nintendo did. They took the stuff and they said, look, we're just going to throw it all together and make you feel like you're getting value. When they're just cutting things from the game. Cutting things from Zelda games. Things that have been in Zelda games in the past. Cutting them, throwing them in a $20 DLC and being like, look at all the stuff you're getting. But what are you really getting? The content part is fine. The new shrines, that new item, the M-Boss, like the motorcycle. That's fine. That's content. This other stuff isn't. Master mode isn't content. It's a difficulty slider. It's a difficulty setting. That's not content. Letting you see visible map tracking data that they were using in development and was in the game from day one, that's not new content. That's on-disc DLC. That's not new. It was already there. But they put it in with the DLC to make it feel like you were adding value. They cut something from the game that was there day one and made you pay for it. And we're supposed to be like, that's okay. These are the practices we're supposed to be against as Nintendo fans. This is why when everyone's like, FEA, like, these are the things EA does. EA cuts content and charges you for it. Just because they didn't microtransaction it, instead they made you pay more money for it. We're supposed to be, good job, you packaged all this crap in, you cut from the game with new content as well. Hell no. They could have just charged $20 for just the story DLC. They could have just charged you $20 for the 4 shrines, the master cycle and everything, and left it at that. They could have just charged $20 for that, and all of us would have bought it. It would have been just like the Octo Expansion Pass. It's brand new content for $20. But that's not what they did. They didn't just do that. They had to take things out of the Zelda game and give it to us later as an excuse to try to make that $20 more valuable. So now, you pick up Breath of the Wild and you actually want to play that hero mode. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Better be ready to fork over $20. So now it just became an $80 purchase if you actually want to play the hardest difficulty in the game. And you shouldn't have to spend $80 to do that. It's ridiculous. And this is it. I called this out last year. I did a whole podcast, well, like half a podcast segment with Eric, calling out what Breath of the Wild was doing. And I was stupid enough that I pre-bought the DLC. I would have never bought the DLC if I had known that's what it was when I pre-bought it. But it was too late. I already pre-bought it, so I already had it. But I would have never bought the DLC if I knew that's what they were doing. If all these features they were touting were just things that used to be part of Zelda games. I mean, Epona, for crying out loud, was in the game day one, but you had to buy a damn amiibo to get Epona. Hello? Can you talk about, like, that's a microtransaction. You gotta spend $13 to have Epona. Even though Epona's in the game day one, you gotta spend $13 to get her. That's literally a microtransaction. Just because you get a physical item with it. Oh, geez. And it was locked behind an amiibo that was hard to get your hands on by the time the game came out. Because it was a Smash Bros. Amiibo. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And maybe it was like any Link amiibo you could have scanned. I can't remember. But either way, you had to buy an amiibo to get Epona too. That's something I didn't even bring up in the video. Because that's literally a microtransaction and that was focused on DLC. I think there's a little bit of a difference. They're the same like content delivery for money, but DLC tends to be a package of content or like a significant amount of content. And then microtransactions usually like one thing for some money. All right. Anyways. So let me see what you guys are saying here. I agree with you, but I'm just happy that Nintendo doesn't do microtransactions like EA. But they do. Any piece of content that's ever locked behind an amiibo is a microtransaction. It just is. Epona is a microtransaction. The hardest difficulty in Metroid Samus Returns is a microtransaction. They literally locked the hardest difficulty in Metroid Samus Returns behind an amiibo that was impossible to get at launch because it was sold out before the game even released. Oh, damn. If I wasn't lucky enough to be one of those hoarders that are selling things on eBay, forget me playing the hard mode at launch in a game. Oh, and that also, never mind, increases the price of the game just so I can play the hardest difficulty. Anyways. Let me read here. So Jamie Luer says, you're acting like this is a new thing. I didn't say it was new to gaming. In the video, I didn't say it was new to gaming. It's new to Nintendo. And the thing is, just because everyone else is doing it, doesn't mean we should let Nintendo know it's okay for them to do it too. It's kind of like the age-old saying when I was a kid. My mom would say, well, if everybody jumped out of a plane without a parachute, would you jump out too? Well, no, I don't want to die. They're idiots. I don't want to die just because they're killing themselves. I don't want to kill myself. Just because the rest of the industry does these practices doesn't mean we should just accept Nintendo doing it. The rest of the industry has had its chance to outrage against this stuff. They have outraged against EA. They have outraged against Ubisoft. They have outraged against Activision. It's happened already because they already were doing this stuff. They already had their fan outrage. Well, it's our turn now. Nintendo's starting to do it. So why are we just sitting back and being like, oh well. You know, as Jamie Lewis said, well, Nintendo just started doing it. You're acting like this is new. It doesn't matter. It's new for Nintendo. It's new for Nintendo. So yeah, of course I should get mad at Nintendo. Not because they care about making money, but because we were praising them for doing DLC right. We were just praising them back in the Wii U era, the Hyrule Warriors DLC, although that ended up getting complicated when Legends came out, and that was a whole fiasco. And I didn't realize that was like Koei Tecmo, but whatever. Initially, it was nice. You know, with games like Mario Kart 8, stuff like that. Nintendo started off doing DLC right, and they still do it right in some regards. But man, does that mean we should just turn a blind eye to all the other stuff? Just blindly accept it? Don't let Nintendo know that we don't want them to do this? Because I don't think Nintendo's beyond reproach. I don't think Nintendo's beyond changing their methods a bit. I don't think it's beyond Nintendo for any of that. And the reason I can say that is they microtransactioned the hell out of Super Smash Bros. On Wii U. They microtransaction and nickel and dimed consumers to hell for all of those stages and all of those characters after the fact, after the game came out. They nickel and dimed consumers like crazy, like every other fighting game does it. Just because every other fighting game did it doesn't mean I was happy with it in Smash Bros. That was one of the premises behind is Nintendo becoming an EA video, was that specific thing. And you know what happened? You know what happened? The new Smash Bros. Game came out, and they released a DLC Fighter Pass. One price, all of the characters. I didn't have a problem with paying extra money for content made after the game came out. I had a problem with paying individual microtransaction-like prices for individual characters and individual stages. I had a problem with that. So they fixed it. Nintendo and Sakurai fixed it. They said, look, we're not going to deliver our DLC content like that anymore. It's now going to be in a fighter pass. One price, get all 5 fighters. We're not selling them individually. Have to buy the fighter pass, get all 5. Done. Awesome! Perfect! That's how it should be! And the fighter pass includes the stages and the music and stuff. They were selling all that crap individually before. Now you get it all together. That's what my issue was with Smash Bros. On Wii U. The individual selling, the microtransactions of it. They went back on it and made it better. So Nintendo's not beyond reproach. But if we just sit back and take it, of course they're just going to keep doing it. Why would they stop? Why would they stop if you just say, well, everyone else is doing it, so who cares? Said everyone else jumps out of a plane without a parachute, so you should just stop caring that it's happening. Stop caring your friends keep jumping out and committing suicide. I should just stop caring that everyone I know keeps jumping out of planes without parachutes, one after another after another. I should just stop caring about that fact. Just because I'm not going to jump out of the dang plane with them doesn't mean I didn't get on the plane and enjoy the ride. Anyways, let's see here. Capcom's another company that does business practices and gets away with it. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the 3 big ones I named. A lot, basically, as people said, it's happening across the industry. Nintendo's late to the game. But it doesn't mean that I should just be okay with it. Just because Nintendo's late to the game doesn't mean I should be okay with it. Blah, 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 blah. I think companies do this because they don't want to get bankrupt. Nintendo had $9 billion in the bank. They weren't going bankrupt anytime soon. This had nothing to do with bankruptcy. Like, people act like because Wii U failed that Nintendo was almost a Sega. Like, Sega was literally almost out of business. Nintendo is set up to last long. They have more money. They have enough money in the bank to be around longer than I'm going to be alive. There was never a concern about money at Nintendo. The concern was, how can we get more money out of people? They thought for $20, the story stuff wasn't going to be enough. So we need to cut out the hard mode from Zelda. We need to cut out the pathing from Zelda that we had literally in development. Admitted they were using it in development with their QA testers. So it was a feature they clearly already had in the game. You know, they had to cut out the ability to call your horse anywhere, which has been in like every Zelda game that's ever had a horse. And throw that in to try to make that $20 sound like you're getting more for your money. Why? And maybe they did learn. Maybe the auto expansion is them learning a lesson. Hey, Maybe we shouldn't have did that. Maybe people didn't really like that much. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know till the next Zelda game comes and we see how they handle DLC for that to see if they've learned. Just like I was worried about Smash Bros. After what happened with Wii U, and then they fixed it with Ultimate. So it's possible I'm worrying for nothing. But until I'm given a reason not to worry, I'm going to continue to worry. It doesn't mean I'm not going to play Breath of the Wild anymore. It doesn't mean I'm not going to play games that have DLC and microtransactions or whatever. Of course I am. But I am anti-microtransaction. And DLC, I am pro-DLC when it's content-based DLC. Torna is an amazing DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The difficulty sliders and some of the other stuff tossed in with it? Like, really? Did that need to be in there for people to buy Torna? Isn't Torna good enough? Like, isn't Torna good enough for you to spend your money on? Why do you need to throw this other stuff in there? Why can't that other stuff just be free updates to the game? If you didn't have it ready along, which, by the way, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 kind of rushed out the door. Let's be honest. Its performance got massively better like 3 months later. It was rushed out. It should have been like a spring 2018 game, if I'm being completely honest. Felt like they just released it just because they said it was going to be in 2017. They didn't need it to land in December. Odyssey was still carrying things, and imagine how much better 2018 would have looked if Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would have been a 2018 game, and then it also would have been up for Game of the Years, and we still would have probably got the Torna DLC. But whatever, I digress. That's a totally separate debate, I think. Or totally separate conversation. That's about rushing games and incomplete, whatever. Not that Xenoblade 2 was an incomplete game. It just wasn't fully optimized. It might have been a game that was being made for Wii U at one point, is probably why. Let me see here. And Master Mo put Bokos on floating platforms. I know. Let's see here. Some people are saying. It's a huge a huge problem. You can't communicate on Switch. That's obviously an issue with Switch in general. Switch has a lot of little things, a lot of little things to deal with when it comes to this stuff. Because Nintendo's behind on a lot of things. I mean, some things they're behind on that are bad, like the lack of communication, the poor online system, and some things they're behind on are good. The fact that we don't have to worry about Nintendo streaming games anytime soon, so they're ergo losing the physical medium. We don't have to worry about Nintendo making us install games like every other platform, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox do. We don't have to install our games. Nintendo's going to put them on the cartridge, and you can just play them as you pop the cartridge in and play. That's something that, is a benefit to Nintendo being behind the times a little bit. I don't even know if that's behind the times. I think that's just a better business. I think that's a pro-consumer thing. The cartridges are expensive, but you get the benefit of not having to install. So, unless you're buying AAA third-party games, and because the cartridges are expensive is why you have to install some extra data. Let me see. Feral Xavier. All that stuff was released pre-Torna. SMH, it was fun add-ons. You keep missing the point. Or you're missing the point. So you're okay having to pay for quality of life. That's what we're debating about here. The debate isn't whether or not DLC should exist. The debate is what should that DLC be and what shouldn't we have to pay for. Should you have to pay for a difficulty slider in a video game? I'm posing this to you right now. Forget it being part of a bigger DLC. Are you okay spending money for a difficulty slider in a video game? Think about what I'm saying here. Games have had easy, medium, hard modes, and difficulty sliders since the beginning of time. It's existed all the way back in arcade machines, for crying out loud. So it's been a standard in video games for 50 years. But now we should pay for it, right? You're okay paying for it because it's part of a bigger DLC pack. So people that don't buy the DLC shouldn't have the option to use it. What you're saying is people that don't want to spend $30 on DLC shouldn't have the ability to alter the difficulty of their video game? That's what we're talking about. That's a quality of life improvement. It makes the game more enjoyable for more consumers. That's a quality of life improvement that's being charged for. This is just like charging for the XP boost in Assassin's Creed. People weren't okay with that either. So why are we making excuses and saying, it's okay? It's okay because it's Nintendo. Because look at all the other content we got. What does that have to do with the fact that I have to pay money to have a difficulty slider in a video game? What does that have to do with the fact that I have to pay money for Master Mode in Breath of the Wild? Or the ability to call my horse to me anywhere on the map, regardless of how far away I am from him? Why do I have to pay money for a feature that's been in Zelda from day one? Why? Why? I don't mind paying for the content. That's not content. That's quality of life. You're making improvements to the game that's already there. That's a quality of life. That's just like saying, what's next? Are they going to start charging you for, oh man, we released a patch that's going to improve performance, but you know what? To install that patch, you got to pay us $15.99. Why? Because it's quality of life improvement. That patch that makes the frame rate and the resolution better is a quality of life improvement. Imagine if they put that behind DLC. I know Nintendo's not going to, I don't know if anyone's going to go that far. EA is going to be the company to go that far. But do you see my point? You're talking about something that's a basic feature of video games put behind a paywall. Why? Why are we just okay with that? I don't get it. And you guys don't have to agree with me. And I don't have to agree with you. I'm obviously not going to agree with you if you're okay with it. And you're not going to agree with me, if you're okay with it, obviously. Like, it's fine. And if you want to unsub from my channel or whatever because of this opinion I hold, fine. You want to tell me to stop playing video games because of this, fine. Say what you want. I'm still going to play video games because I love them and I enjoy them. It doesn't mean that I like having difficulty sliders behind paywalls. And it doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and say it's okay. I'm not just going to sit there and keep taking it up the butt just because you guys are okay with it. I'm not. I enjoyed Breath of the Wild just fine without Master Mode. I didn't need Master Mode to fulfill me in Breath of the Wild. But I also should have never had to pay to get access to it in the first place. It should have just been there. It's called easy, difficult, hard. Like in every video game in existence. Except Nintendo games. This is the third, 3 games in a row now. Well, not in a row, but like Metroid Samus Returns, with the amiibo being locked behind that. Then you had Twilight Princess HD, by the way, had its hard mode locked behind an amiibo. Thanks, Twilight Princess HD. Of course you had to do that. Thank you for that. You couldn't just include that in a $60 remaster of a video game. You couldn't just include it. No, you had to make us buy an amiibo for it. Like, why are we just okay with this stuff? It doesn't make sense. Everyone defending it, I don't understand how you can defend this practice. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not like actually like literally upset. I'm good. For those that might be thinking I'm taking this way too seriously and I'm going to pop a vein or something. Eric A. Getting upset over having to pay more is pretty dumb. This is capitalism. Why should I care about... Here's the thing. I know what capitalism is. I know the country I'm in was founded upon it. Several countries are founded upon capitalism. But the thing is, I don't have to give a shit about the companies that are making billions of dollars. Why should I, as a consumer, give 2 craps about a multi-billion-dollar company? Why should I care? Why should I sit there and be like, oh, because it's a capitalist society, because they can legally do it, I should just be okay with it? I shouldn't say anything? I can't have an opinion that I don't want to pay it? As an example, I pay income tax, right? I don't want to pay it. You think I want to pay income tax? No. Do I think I pay way too much income tax? Yeah. I live paycheck to paycheck with 3 children. I shouldn't really have an income tax because I can't afford to have an income tax. But I have to pay it anyways. And I complain about it. And I complain to the officials that run my state government and the senators that we have. I do complain to them and let them know, hey, I don't think I should really be taxed at all when you're in this bracket with children. I don't think it should happen. People in that bracket are struggling to survive. We can't have money taken out of our paychecks. but I do it anyways. I still pay it. I still put up with it. Doesn't mean I don't have a right to complain about it. Because you know what else this country's founded on? The freedom of speech. So yeah, capitalism's a big deal. And I have the right and the freedom to speak out against the practices I don't like. I don't mind Nintendo making money. They don't have to make all the money. I don't have a problem with EA making money. They don't have to make literally every penny in my bank account for me to play a game and enjoy it. It doesn't need to be that way. I know, that's not how capitalism works. Capitalism is the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's how capitalism works. And it sucks on some regards. Doesn't mean I hate it overall. But when there's no checks and balances in place, that's how you end up with loot boxes. Now, there might be checks and balances coming in place for that soon from the government because of it being viewed as gambling and stuff. So loot boxes might get checks and balances soon. Not that I trust the government to really stop for-profit gambling, but maybe there's some regulation coming in my country for that. But doesn't mean I have to be okay with it. Why would you complain about taxes? I love paying taxes. I love the roads I drive on, the schools I help fund, even though I don't have children. Really? The schools I help fund and the roads that I drive on. That's all right. I mean, I don't pay taxes on literally every item I buy. I mean, it's not like when I go to Walmart or when I bought this computer that I didn't pay a crap load of taxes on it. So I'm getting taxed at the money I make, and then I get taxed on the money I spend. Why am I being taxed from both ends? No, I'm actually serious. How the tax system works, and this is a stupid thing to even get into because it's not what this channel is about. But the point is, you're getting taxed from both ends. You don't need to get taxed from both ends. Raise the taxes on goods, get rid of the income tax. Everyone makes more money or makes the same amount of money because people still got to buy stuff. They don't stop needing stuff, stop needing clothes. Heck, put taxes on food for crying out loud. Stop needing food. There's more than one way to tax and for the state to get their money without having to dip into people who can't afford it. And the thing is, and well, you know what? Here's what's funny about that, Eric A. You bring that up. Because of the income bracket I am, they just give it all back to me during tax return season anyways, right? Tax return season comes, they literally just hand me all my income tax back. So why take it out in the first place? It kind of defeats the purpose if you're just going to hand it right back. If you're just going to turn around, give me my own money back to myself, then why take it out? What's the point? What's the point of taking it out? But anyway, that's a totally different discussion. I don't want to get into politics and all that crap too deep here. We don't really talk about it on this channel. Eric A., you need to do some research on the flat tax, bud. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to put you on timeout because you are still oh, I can't put you on timeout there. I got to do it through the other thing. You're still talking about stuff that, and now you're saying F money. Dude, come on, man. Let's not talk about this kind of stuff, man. We'll put you on a little timeout. Just remember, man, we don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. This is one reason we don't. Because it leads to stupid debates, even from my side of things. I'm in the wrong. I shouldn't have even said anything. I should have squashed the political talk right away. I apologize to everyone else in the chat. My bad. Should not have went there, and I shouldn't have let him go there. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. I'm usually very good about not letting that stuff seep in. But I let it seep in that one time. I'm sorry. I promise to be better about that in the future. I'm usually really good about it, actually, but this time I don't know. Probably because I was already kind of built up a little bit from the conversation. All right. So let me just, I'm actually going to turn off this display because I'm not reading those comments right now. Because we have plenty of our own comments in this chat. I don't think I need to go to the comment section on that video to respond to people. Let me see here. I hate incomplete releases more than DLC. I hope Metroid Prime Trilogy doesn't do what Bayonetta did with the US release. I don't want a download code for Metroid Prime 3. Yeah, Resident Evil Revelations did that too, where you got like the first one and then you had to download the second, or vice versa. Can't remember that. I mean, technically you're not getting incomplete releases. You're just not getting, you paid for a physical copy, but you're not getting a physical copy of both games you paid for. That's really what your issue is. That's not an incomplete release. That is not getting what you paid for physical. Sucks. I know. It's a weird practice that companies are doing, and Bayonetta did it. I really hope like a Metroid Prime Trilogy. Honestly, a Metroid Prime Trilogy could probably all fit on one cart. But let's see here. It's ridiculous to charge money for Smash's online system. The online system's been better for me of late, so I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole too much. I haven't had too many issues with the online. It was really hard for the first day, and then I've had some intermittent issues, but like over the last week and a half or so, I haven't had any issues with online. I've had like 2 matches that lagged out of like 30. Granted, I'm over 30 and I lost all of them, and I'm pretty sure every character I have is going to be down to 1 GP here in like the next week or 2, but I mean, that's just me sucking at Smash. It's got nothing to do with how the online's running. I disagree with Martin Melk live game, and he says, as an owner of all previous Nintendo consoles and competing consoles, I can tell that Switch is a huge step down as a console, and even most of Nintendo's releases are lacking in quality. I don't think Switch is a huge step down as a console. It's lacking in certain features, but it has other features other consoles don't have, such as the biggest one being I can literally lift it off my dock here and head on out and keep playing. So like that's one feature that literally no other system has right now, at least of the main 3 systems. And then on top of that, I don't think the Nintendo releases are lacking in quality. Breath of the Wild, to me, is the best game of all time. Super Mario Odyssey might be the best 3D Mario of all time. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is like the best Xenoblade game of all time, in my opinion anyways. Octopath Traveler is one of the best JRPGs. You know, it's at least in my top 20, which is, there's a lot of JRPGs. So, like, being in my top 20 is a pretty big deal, at least for me. Like, it's right there with Chrono Trigger and all the rest, man. Like, Octopath Traveler is way up there. Splatoon 2, amazing game. It's so much better than the original Splatoon. I hate when people call it like Splatoon 1.5 is not really a new game. I'm like, oh my god, do you know how much new content is in that game compared to Splatoon 1? It is totally a sequel. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the best Smash Bros. Game of all time, and maybe the best fighting game of all time. Yeah, I went there. It's a game I suck at, and I went there. Like, there are a lot of high-quality games. There are some low-quality ones. Yeah, Mario Tennis Aces is better than Mario Ultra Smash, but it's still kind of lacking in content. Super Mario Party is actually one of the best Super Mario Parties in a long time, but it only has 4 boards, and it doesn't let you play those boards online. I don't know why. It's weird. It's like they did so much right, but then like, we got to forget like a core thing. You know, used to get 9 boards like back on Mario Party 5, and only 4 today. I don't get it. And I don't get like when they're finally allowing online play, they don't actually let you have a Mario Party online. They'll let you play 5 mini games. It's not a party to me, but whatever. Again, some good and some bad with that one. Some good and some bad with Mario Tennis. Mario Tennis Aces, or Mario Tennis Ace, depending on where you're from. That game is like the best Mario Tennis gameplay ever. I just wish there was more content and more courts and more rackets, and that the RPG elements of leveling up the rackets could actually be used in like online matches, and there was more options for online matches. Being able to custom create your own tournaments would be awesome. Remember when you used to be able to do that in Smash Bros? Custom create your own tournaments? Why was that a feature that went away in like online multiplayer for Nintendo? I don't get. Kirby Star Allies. I think it's actually a really good game. It's just maybe a notch down from some of the more recent Kirby games, but I don't think it's so far down from the other Kirby games that it's a bad game. It's still a good game. It's just different. You know, I'm really thrilled with the majority of the games that Nintendo's released. I think Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, I love it so far. You know, teaser for the review I have coming out this month. I like it. I like it a lot. So, don't like everything about it. I'll have my criticisms and whatever, but yeah, I can't wait to get that review out to you guys. Working hard on that review. In fact, I'm actually going to be playing a bunch of it today, in a little bit, after the stream, I think. I'm also Oh, I have another video I'm currently editing too. And tonight, for all of our $10 and up Patreon backers at patreon.com/NintendoPrime, we will be live streaming our podcast that'll go like publicly and edited for all of you guys tomorrow. Usually we do that on Thursdays, but it got pushed to Sunday for some personal reasons. So we streaming that exclusively for our $10 and up patrons tonight. I know, shameless plug. So let me move this over here so it doesn't look like my head is so far looking away from the camera. Because when I move this here, then the chat's almost lined up with the camera. Later, Ariel Lazarus. I gotta go for now, but I definitely agree with your main point. We shouldn't just quietly accept Nintendo having that kind of DLC just because other companies already did it. Nice. M the Moon, no, because I'll be streaming. I'll be streaming the podcast to our $10 and up Patreon backers. Okay. There's not a mess up there, is there? Okay. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you guys can play with balls. We'll probably go outside when I'm done and play before dinner. Ride our scooters around. That'll be fun, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll go maybe shoot some hoops on the basketball hoop. I know Ollie will want to do that. I'm just talking to my son. All right. You seem to be stressed out. I'm not actually stressed. It's called passion. I was told I don't have enough passion. Well, here you go. Here's a topic I'm very passionate about. A topic I have not covered in a long time, and I felt like covering again. I've said this exact same stuff last year, and I'm going to say it again this year. And I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again until it stops happening. So hopefully, here in 2019, I never need to worry about Nintendo doing it to any of the numerous games they have coming out. I am scared to death that Leaf tickets are going to find their way into Animal Crossing on Switch. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared that's going to happen. Animal Crossing is like ripe for microtransactions and loot boxes. Don't do it, Nintendo. Oh, don't do that, please. I mean, they already screw it up with Fire Emblem sometimes with the way they handle DLC and that, but I'm not gonna dive too deep into that. There are certain Fire Emblem games on 3DS that really, the DLC practices they did on that were not good. But what are you gonna do? Let's see here. All right. I'm just scrolling down here. All right. Are you thinking about quitting gaming? No. Why would I think about quitting gaming? I love gaming too much. Why would I quit? Why would I quit? Why would I quit gaming? Here's the thing. Just because I'm upset with some business practice. Like I said, I don't like what they did with the Breath of the Wild DLC that wasn't content-based. But I still love Breath of the Wild. It's still my favorite game of all time. Like, forget the DLC. Get rid of it. It doesn't exist. Breath of the Wild was my favorite game of all time before that DLC ever came out. I don't need that DLC to validate how awesome Breath of the Wild is. Like, that's the one thing you can give Nintendo credit for so far. They have not let their DLC practices, regardless of what they are, the things I like and the things I don't like, affect the quality overall of the product they release at launch. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was still a fantastic game at launch in spite of some of the performance issues. And you know, all the quality of life stuff they added later that you had to pay for. Regardless, the core game itself was still really damn good. The core Breath of the Wild game, best game ever made in my opinion. Like, to Nintendo's credit, they haven't gone as bad as Ubisoft or EA or Activision or Capcom or whatever, where you have to pay to make the experience even be good in some regards. Not all of them, not all regards. Some of the games are still good even if you don't pay. But a lot of games from those companies, like, if you spend extra money on this stuff, the game is actually good versus like not paying and having an incomplete game. Like, cut content that actually like makes the game enjoyable, kind of thing. Thankfully, Nintendo hasn't done that. They've cut some features and sold it to us, but those features ended up not ruining the core game, and that's probably why they thought they could do it. So I'm not thinking of quitting gaming. I mean, I literally have Red Dead Redemption 2 loaded up on my Xbox One X. You guys can't see it; it's off camera, but yeah, I literally have it loaded up on my Xbox One X, man. Like, why would I quit gaming? I enjoy it too much. Just because I don't like some of the practices doesn't mean I'm going to quit. You know, I might not buy NBA 2K next year, even though I really like NBA 2K, because now the microtransactions are starting to seep into the modes I enjoy. That sucks. Let me see here. Some of the stuff you talked about in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was not correct. All the quality of life features and settings were added for free as part of a new Game Plus update, though. Yeah, but they were added to the DLC first. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad they eventually added it for free. Now, the reason I didn't want to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles too much is because I didn't get deep into that game, so I don't know enough, like that. I didn't know that. Like, I knew they initially added it through paid DLC. I didn't know they eventually also added it for free. That's nice. That's good. That's the way it should be. Should have been that way right away. As soon as those features were available, they should have just been given for free instead of whatever. But at least they added it. So kudos to Monolith Soft for that, because I'm sure they're the ones that made the decision on that. But that's why I've been focusing more on Breath of the Wild, that I know a hell of a lot more about than a game that I never bought the DLC and never realized what was part of it and that kind of stuff. I just read stuff on the internet. And the internet doesn't always give you all the information. That's the problem with the internet. You sometimes don't get everything. I wish you did. Let's see here. Your goal for 2019 to be to fit into the shirts you have in the background. What do you mean? Fit. I literally fit in all those shirts. Heck, one of these shirts back here will be on tonight's podcast episode if you happen to be watching it live. Otherwise, you guys will see it tomorrow. I fit in all those shirts. Those are all 2XLs. The only one that's a little snug is the Giannis jersey. That's only an XL. It's a little snug. It still fits, though. But it's a little snug. All the rest of those do fit. My 2019 goal at the channel is to explode and do awesome. And we'll see what happens with that. But my 2019 goal weight-wise is to fit into all of my old jeans. I'm like this far away from being able to button like half the jeans I have, and then the other half I'm like this far away, and I want to be able to fit into them by the end of the year. I'm on my way. I highly doubt Leaf tickets will make their way into Animal Crossing. I mean, I don't think they will either. I think Nintendo's going to handle Animal Crossing the right way, but then again, we got things like Amiibo Festival before. At this point, I don't know if I could try. Like, look at what they did with Pocket Camp. Pocket Camp, by the way, is a really nice little game. But, you know, they had to throw those loot boxes in. The Amiibo Festival, to me, is a crap show. I'm not sure if Happy Home Designer was like, I don't know if I trust them with Animal Crossing right now. But we'll see. Well, I mean, when did the last one come out? 2013? Animal Crossing New Leaf, the last mainline game. New Leaf, back in 2013. I don't know what Rayman did or said. And by the way, I want to apologize. I know I swore earlier in the stream. Unintentional. These daytime streams are intended to be family friendly. Our mods know that, and I know that. And I want to apologize earlier. I think I said the S word. My bad. I'm deeply sorry about that. It's not something that I should have said. Thankfully, my kid wasn't in the room when I said it, but I am sorry about that. I did say I was going to label my streams in the future when they were going to have swearing in them or not be safe for kids. So if there's kids watching or parents watching with their kids, I do apologize for that. That is not at all something I view as okay, and it's something I need to hold myself accountable to. Just promise that I'll work on that in the future. I don't do a lot of day streams, so it's hard for me to remember it sometimes because most of my streams are at night, but I want to do some more day streams once in a while. So I am sorry about that. Let me see here. Did I get much snow? Joke here says no. We're supposed to get snow tonight, but it might be rain. It's been weird. We'll be like really, really cold for a week, and then we're in the 40s. Then really, really cold for a week and in the 40s. I know there's like climate change and all that stuff going on, but this has been the weirdest winter so far. But you know what that means? We'll have snow all the way into July. We'll just get blasted with it later in the year than usual. Thanks for changing the direction of the odd hanger on the wall behind it. Yeah. Now next thing is making it so it's not like this general rise. Like, see how it's like rising up? I need to actually I need to get out a tape measure and actually measure and get them all at the same height eventually. That bothers me more than that backwards hanger, was that they're not all at the same height. I gotta fix that, but I mean, some of it's the camera angle, of course, too, making it look more exaggerated. Because like you see how you can kind of see some of the ceiling. Like my camera is a little bit cocked, a little bit, because I don't have a proper stand for this camera to put behind my monitors. But sometimes I zoom in so you can't see the ceiling line. Excuse me. Let's see here. In my comment on your video, I didn't talk about the horse armor DLC, but I think, is the horse armor one the one that lets you call your horse anywhere? I'm trying to remember. Because that's the thing I have an issue with, was the ability to literally call for your horse anywhere on the map. It's been there. It was there in Ocarina of Time. It was there in Majora's Mask. It was there in Twilight Princess. It was there everywhere. Like every game that had a horse in it, you could do that. I don't mind doing a quest to get it. I don't mind putting the ability to do that behind a quest. I do mind having to pay for the ability to have that in the game. If that's the one we're talking about here. I haven't done the horse armor quest yet, so full disclosure, haven't done that quest yet. I am trying to 100% master mode, so right now I'm just worried about all the Korok seeds because it's like the most boring part of the game. So I'm trying to get all the Korok seeds done. I've got like 200 of them. I got a long ways to go, but I got a couple areas completely clear of them though, where I don't have to go back to them for Korok seeds. Do you like Luigi's Mansion? Oh, am I excited for Luigi's Mansion 3? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It looks a little bit more like Dark Moon than it does the OG Luigi's Mansion. I wish it looked more like the original, but I like Dark Moon too, so I'll play it. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up loving it more than the other two. You know? Looks like it takes place in a hotel or something like that instead of a mansion. I mean, hotels are basically like mansions. Oh, you're worried about Nintendo changing the price of Nintendo Switch Online, Terry? Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. They haven't done anything with the online to like charge more for it. Like the justification would be if they add like N64 and GameCube games, but even then, like, how many games do they need to add before they can justify it? You know, we don't even know what games are coming yet this month. This is the first month that we don't know what games we're getting. And maybe it's because they're launching SNES and they're just making it a surprise. I don't know. Hotel Luigi? Yeah, it's a giant hotel. Yeah. Granted, I don't think there's anything wrong with the giant hotel, but depends on how it's done. NIS needs to keep up with those Desagia re-releases. Nice. Again, a series I've never gotten into that much. Just reading chat a little bit here. This does. Let me look at. There was a couple of comments I wanted to respond to. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention about this, my entire stance on this DLC stuff. I had a few people kind of say that I only made that video to stir the pot. I know there's YouTubers out there that will make a video or have a controversial opinion with the idea. By the way, I don't think my opinion is controversial. So. Can't really stir the pot when I don't know that I'm stirring the pot. But anyways, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that will do something controversial or say something controversial or have a dissenting opinion just to have one and get the attention they can get from having it. Those are the people that, in my opinion, are stirring pots, right? Like, the entire point of the video, the entire point of what they're saying is to get people riled up. They're basically trolling. But that's not what I did with that video. I understand there's people that like it. That's not what I did when I talked about my worry about Nintendo going down the path of EA. None of that was meant to stir the pot. All of that was just my honest feelings on video games at the time. And I always told myself, I'm going to make the content I want to make, and I'm going to be honest about it. Even if it's something that people might not like what I have to say. And it's okay for people not to like what I have to say. But, like, it's weird when people, like, accuse me of just doing things for clicks or doing things to stir the pot or doing things. I was like, I'm just doing things because it's what I wanted to do. It's what I wanted to say. It's what I feel. I'm not going to, like, not be true to myself just because some people might not like what I have to say. So I don't know. And maybe I'm completely off on what stir the pot means, but that's generally what I consider stir the pot to mean. Oh yeah, there's also like Pokeball Plus and Mew this year. That's a fun one. Spend $50 to get Mew. I mean, I got the Pokeball Plus right here. I didn't buy the Pokeball Plus, by the way. This is Eric's Pokeball Plus. I did not buy it, and I still refuse to buy it. Even though I'm using this for review purposes, I refuse to buy it, which means my review will not have Mew. And I'll talk about that in my review. But yeah, I don't like that. And I understand Pokemon's always kind of had like a event Pokemon you could only get your, like, I get that it's kind of not unusual. Like, it being behind a $50 accessory is unusual, but it's not unusual for there to only be certain ways to get certain Pokemon that are, like, I get why they do it. They try to make a community. I don't know. I don't like it. I wish all the Pokemon were just available in the games all the time. Between both games, both copies of games, have all the Pokemon. Don't have event Pokemon, but whatever. They don't listen to me. They're going to keep doing what they do because it works. That's an interesting one. Gamer for Life WD on the video I made, he said, my issue with Champion's Ballad is the fact that its difficulty was set to 11. I didn't think that, but it was like I bought a Zelda game and paid extra to play Dark Souls and Hyrule. Though I still think Nintendo Switch is the biggest ripoff of all. Blah blah blah. And he goes on to some other things he doesn't like about Switch. But man, like, set to 11, they gave you, I mean, spoiler warning, you get an item at the beginning of the DLC that lets you one-shot everything in the game. I mean, the end boss fight was hard, sure, but the end boss fight should be hard. What was sad is that end boss fight was 10 times harder than the actual Ganon fight, but, I mean, I don't want to dive too deep into that. Maybe someday, when we finally start getting rumors on the next Zelda game, like some actual legit rumors, or we get an announcement for the next Zelda game, I can go into some things I want them to carry over from Breath of the Wild and some things I don't. And I could definitely tell you, like, how they handled the M boss fight is something I don't want to see carried over. Not certain parts of it I like the fact that you can go to it right away. I like that, and you can get all the items you need to beat the boss well in it, but it's a challenge. So I like that. That made the fight challenging. Going there from the get-go, as soon as you can get off the Great Plateau, and not having any good items and having to rely on the items he throws at you, like, I don't mind that. That was fine. That made the fight difficult. But the fact that, like, if you did the game normally, that the fight just turned into a joke, it was like, I don't know about that. That's kind of... And there's some other things. I have a lot of things I can criticize about Breath of the Wild, but there's a lot of things I can praise, too. Has a Metroid game ever changed modes from 2D, 3D to 2D, like in Mario Odyssey before? No, not 2D to 3D. They did do like a 3D to side-scrolling with Metroid Other M. They kind of did like both, right? You had like your little 3D. It wasn't first-person 3D, but it was like third-person 3D, and then you would have ones that were kind of sideways, that were like classic Metroid, some stages or parts of stages. So they had something that was similar, but it just didn't go 2D. It went side-scrolling though. So Metroid did try something like that before Mario did it. Mario was just more deliberate that, oh, we're going to make you into a 2D sprite. Whereas Metroid just said, no, we're just going to make you side-scroll. You also die in one hit, too. I didn't really die in one. I don't remember dying in one hit. Oh, yeah, you could die in one hit. I don't know. At that point, I had been so good. Like, I was so good at fighting those things that it wasn't a problem. Like, they were just bokoblins for the most part. I think they were all just bokoblins. It was easy peasy, man. I had no issue with that. So that stuff was nothing. At that point in the game, like, I wasn't getting hit by bokoblins anyways. So I guess, I don't know. To me, I was just running around one-shotting everyone. It really wasn't that hard. But I guess that was just me. What I have to remember with Zelda, it's going to feel weird saying this based on my fear of fighting Lionels. It's a mental thing, not a skill set issue. It's a mental block that's preventing me from getting my skills to do it. But, like, I'm really good at Zelda games. Like, legit good at Zelda games. And it feels weird when you watch me play a live stream Breath of the Wild because I'm always rusty. Because usually when I live stream it, it's been a long time since I played it, so I'm a little rusty. But, like, if I just sit down and play a Zelda game for a few days, like any of them, I suddenly, by that third day, like, I'm just rocking. I'm awesome. And it feels weird saying that because I still have not, like, legit beaten a Lionel. But it's a mental block. I have a mental block with Lionels based on how they terrorized me when I first approached them, like, when I had 3 hearts in normal mode, like, when I started the game. They created a fear in me that has made me avoid them ever since. I am going to get over that fear in master mode, so when they're even more difficult. I am going to get over that fear, and I am going to master it. That's the last part of, like, Breath of the Wild I need to master is just dominating Lionels like they're nothing, which I've seen people do. It's not hard to do. It's just, I mean, it's hard initially when you don't know what you're doing, but, like, it's once you get used to it, you know, you can ride them, and, like, you can do a lot of cool things. You can have a lot of fun with Lionels. What's up, man? You guys ready to go play outside?
No.
You want to go play outside now?
I don't want to.
Okay, go get your shoes and coat on.
I don't want to go out.
Okay, go get your coat on, and then I'll change. Yep, I'll change your butt. Yep.
I like to say I want to do in the video with you.
You are on the video with me.
Yay. Now I go in the face.
See? There you are.
I just do it.
You gonna say hi?
Hi. And you're not in the mode.
You're gonna say hi with your shirt on backwards? It's okay. You're a kid. It's okay. Heck, if you were an adult, it's okay if that's really what you want to do. Here, let Ollie get in here. He wants to get in.
And I'll go on the front side. Alright, I'm on the front side. Change this.
You do stink. You gotta change your butt.
I'll be in the video by myself. Good. No.
Okay, be careful. You're shaking the camera, bud. Joe Prosco's up in here. Pretend the Lionels are just like the ones in the original Zelda. Hey there! Some people saying hi to you guys. All right. Ugh. So do you count Smash DLC as bad DLC? Not the Fighter Pass. What they're doing with Piranha Plant, yes, but I've already made a video on that. How they're handling Piranha Plant, do not like. Should just be free. The Fighter Pass is fine. Fighter Pass doesn't bother me. Fighter Pass is content. Nice family trio. Yeah. Aiden, what's your favorite Switch game? You're the one that plays Switch second most next to Dad. What's your favorite? Well, Melody does now. But what's your favorite Switch game? Is it Donkey Kong? Yeah, that's what I thought. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. He really likes that a lot. In fact, the copy that I have isn't even my copy. It's his.
There's no Switch today.
He got it for Christmas.
There's no Switch.
Hey, leave the Switch. That's right. No one's touching Dad's Switch today. Oh, yeah, all right. Whoa, whoa. Macker, you want to go to Noogie Town? I love my kids. See, they're all happy. They're having a good day. All right. Well, I'm gonna go change my son's stinky butt and then take these kids outside to play. Maybe we'll jam to some music or something. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to catch me again later today, I do have one more video coming out. But besides that, at least one more. I think only one. Besides that, if you want to catch it on another live stream, I will be live streaming the Nintendo Prime podcast to our $10 and up backers on Patreon. So yeah, I mean, go to patreon.com/Nintendo Prime. Should be a link in the description. You become a $10 and up backer, get early access to the podcast, watch the live stream. For $20, you can be on an episode of the podcast. So that's something that's happening tonight. If people want to get in on that, if not, you'll see the podcast tomorrow. I'll catch you guys in my other video later today, and then I think that'll be it for Sunday. I'll probably see you guys then tomorrow in the morning at some point for something. My kid likes Tropical Freeze's good taste, yeah. He likes Odyssey too, but Tropical Freeze's, he loves Tropical Freeze. Well, no, I beat Tropical Freeze on Wii. I was gonna be like, he's further than me. He's further than me on Switch. But I mean, I beat it on Wii U, so. And you know what's funny? He doesn't like playing with Funky Kong. He likes going straight DK, baby. DK all the way. All right, later, guys.